Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right in today because we are taking a fascinating look at the actual mechanics of intuition. This is all based on a really deep dive discussion with psychic medium John Holland and spiritual teacher Gabby Bernstein. And look, we're totally stripping away the crystal balls here. We're framing psychic abilities not as some spooky, supernatural magic, but as highly practical tools for managing the sheer overwhelm of modern life. So let's just address the elephant in the room right off the bat. Why does it seem like literally everyone is having a spiritual awakening right now? Well, consider the chaotic squeeze of today's world. Our source material points out that the intense pressure we're all facing, mentally, physically, emotionally, it's actually forcing people to look inward. You know, when we're squeezed from the outside and we stop finding answers in our external environment, we organically have to look up and look within just to find a sense of safety. So the crucial point here is simple, but honestly, it's profound. Every foundation is being rocked, but the one thing that remains solid, that never changes, is your soul. External systems like finance, government, education, they can feel incredibly shaky and unpredictable right now. But your internal foundation, your soul, offers this constant, stable anchor amidst all that turbulence. Tapping into that isn't just a fun party trick. It's practically a survival mechanism.
To help you access that anchor, here is our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with the global intuitive awakening, distinguish intuition from imagination, and break down the four clairs. Then, we'll tune your body as an antenna, raise your psychic power, and finally lock in boundaries and energy protection.
Okay, Section 1. The Global Intuitive Awakening, Navigating the Modern Squeeze. Okay, let's dive into this. Before we go any further, we absolutely have to demystify what it actually means to have a spiritual awakening, or, to be psychic. Let's completely strip away the Hollywood tropes right now. Forget the transparent ghosts, the woo-woo stereotypes, and the spooky movie sound effects. The word psychic comes directly from the Greek word psychos, which literally and simply translates to of the soul. If you have a soul, which you do, then this capacity comes right in the package with you. Acknowledging that you're psychic just means acknowledging that you have a soul. It's subtle and it's highly accessible to all of us. Moving right along to Section 2, Intuition versus Imagination, Trusting the Inner Voice. And this brilliantly illustrates the difference for the skeptics in the room who might be wondering, am I just making these subtle feelings up in my head? John Holland offers a brilliant distinction here. Imagination flitters. It goes everywhere and then it fades away quickly. You have a thought, you dismiss it, it's gone. Intuition, however, lands firmly. It gets louder and it literally keeps knocking on the door. For example, they talk about how a thought might pop into your head to call your brother. You say to yourself, nah, I just talked to him last week. I'll call him tomorrow. But then the thought comes back. Call your brother. It gets louder. It doesn't fade. That persistence is the absolute hallmark of a true intuitive hit. All right, Section 3, the four clairs explained, defining your intuitive senses. So, how are you actually receiving this information? First up is clairsentience, which means inner feeling. This is incredibly common, and a lot of people naturally start out as strong feelers. This originates right in your gut, your solar plexus. It's like when you walk into a room and instantly think, oof, I don't like the feel of this place. Or maybe you interview for a job and your body just gives you this sinking physical reaction. Your body doesn't lie. That is clairsentience at work. Next is clairvoyance, or inner seeing. Now, to be totally clear, this is rarely some high-definition 3D movie playing out in front of your face. It's a subtle, almost mysterious visual awareness through the third eye. If you put your awareness on a situation, you might subtly see a giant X in your mind's eye, or the word slow down flashing for just a second. It's visual, sure, but it's internal and deeply symbolic. Then we have clairaudience, meaning inner hearing. A lot of people assume this will sound like some booming external voice from the heavens, but actually it usually comes in as your own voice. Kind of like when you're reading a book silently, but you can hear the author's voice in your head. It also shows up when a very specific song pops into your head, totally out of the blue, with lyrics perfectly matching a situation you're dealing with. This one requires deep practice to decipher from regular thoughts, often by sitting quietly in nature and stretching your hearing to pick up distant sounds, then bringing your focus back to sounds close by. Finally, there's claircognizance, which is inner knowing. This is a sudden, profound understanding of a fact or situation without any logical explanation whatsoever. You just know it. Now, it's important to remember that while we possess the capacity for all of these traits, we typically lean really heavily on one dominant strength to start. Don't force it, just start with the sense that feels most natural to you.
On to Section 4, your body as an antenna, tuning your physical frequency.
So, where do all these signals actually land? Our source uses a fascinating metaphor here. You don't need a quartz crystal pushed into your forehead to be intuitive, because your physical human body is already a giant, highly sensitive psychic antenna primed for these frequencies. But there's a catch. Our modern habits are severely blocking this natural biological antenna. Immediate reactions to phone buzzes spike our heart rate. Doom scrolling and watching too much television just suck all of our energy out because the technology does all the imagining for us. The inner part of us never has to work. If you want to tune your antenna, you have to cut through this digital noise. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the highly practical solution offered in our source, No Tech Tuesday, or really any scheduled intentional break. If you want to amp up your psychic abilities, you have to take structured time away from screens. Even just leaving your phone in another room for a few hours does wonders, so that the inner voice finally has the quiet space to surface. Once you've quieted the noise, how do you actually tune in? Let's walk through a highly practical exercise called the Soul Shift, designed to elevate your consciousness above your physical body. Try this with me right now. First, look straight ahead, but hold your hands up to the sides in your peripheral vision. Second, slowly push your hands away while keeping your gaze straight, soft, and slightly foggy. You're expanding your visual awareness. Third, instead of pulling your energy down, gently shift your internal awareness and energy to the space just above your head. Because a piece of your soul is in your body, sure, but a massive part of it is above and around you. This simple, calming shift instantly opens up your receptivity. Section 5. Raising your psychic power. The meditative roadmap. Let's move to and see how this builds, because raising your energetic power isn't some chaotic free-for-all. It's a highly logical unfoldment. You start by imagining a sparkling sea of light below you. Through focused breathing, you draw that light up systematically through your energy centers. You pull it into the base chakra, glowing red at your spine, then up to the sacral, orange at your navel, up to the solar plexus, a yellow sun for your clairsentience, up into the heart, radiating green to clear past hurts, up to the throat, blue for clairaudience and truth, into the third eye, an indigo lotus opening for clairvoyance, and finally, up and out through the crown, blooming violet, opening you up to universal energy. It's a beautifully structured unfoldment, step by step. And finally, Section 6, Boundaries and Energy Protection, the critical importance of closing down. Here is where we need to hit the brakes for a second. Treating yourself as a wide-open, energetic sponge in public is a recipe for absolute disaster. The core rule of energy work outlined in our source is this: the price of sensitivity is sensitivity. If you open yourself up, you are going to feel more. True mastery isn't just about turning the power on. It means knowing exactly when and how to shut off the connection. You have to call the shots. You cannot walk through a crowded room or board an airplane with your energy wide open, or you'll just absorb everyone else's stress and emotions. You must master your abilities so they don't master you. So how do we actually do that safely? Our source gives us practical, earthly grounding tools. You can walk barefoot in nature to literally ground your energy back into the earth. Spend time breathing in green spaces. Some people use salt baths or sage, but honestly, the quickest tool you have is your own mind. You are in control. When you're done, intentionally visualize your aura closing up like a flower and pulling your energy tightly inward. Your aura follows your thoughts. When you finished your energy work, shut the connection down and return safely to your physical body. We've covered the mechanics, the blocks, the meditations, and the protections. Now that you have this structured roadmap to safely explore your own frequency, I want to leave you with this provocative thought. In a world that constantly demands your attention, how will you tune your own internal antenna today? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.